A snowy Tuesday here behind the cheddar curtain. I've already been outside with the snowblower engaged. I'm going to have to go back out there again, although I'm hoping that the lads will go out there and do some of it. Snowy day behind the cheddar curtain. Folks, we thought it would be fun today in light of the fact that I have new guitars arriving from Wildwood, but they have not arrived yet. So we thought it would be fun to kind of give, because people ask if I've ever fallen for any of the guitars that I video or just guitars in general that I see at Wildwood, and the answer is affirmative. So I thought it would be fun to kind of do a little show and tell today. A little show and tell with the guitars that I have procured from Wildwood Guitars in beautiful Louisville, Colorado. And answer any questions that might be percolating in your craniums about these instruments or about things in general. All right, I think I've shared things accordingly here. Chicken Tiki Masala, Gospel of Mark. I see you out there. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if Paul Brown's here yet. Paul Brown, are you here? Paul Brown. Paul! All right. Well, folks, as I said, I'm going to talk a little bit about these guitars that I've procured from Wildwood. I've been going out there for, I think, 9 years now. Does that sound about right? Maybe 9 years. That sounds about right. Wow, time flies. And this particular weapon right here, ladies and gentlemen, I will definitely come out to Maryland once this pandemic is over. Paul, yes, I did see that video. Paul Brown, Paul Brown, but there were a few that were missing. So I thought I would share, and can you dig it? I thought I would share. Yeah, okay, so this particular guitar right here, I think this was procured around, diggity doggone it, I gotta say, probably about 8 years ago, right? That sounds about right. 7, 8 years ago. This guitar is a Wildwood 10 55 Telecaster from the Fender Custom Shop. And it is doggone. See, Josh out there said, I just got a new Strat from Wildwood in the mail today. Excellently done. Congratulations, Josh. So this one, Wildwood 10 55 Telecaster Relic, as you can see, it looks like it's been savaged by some kind of feral beast that found its way into the Fender Custom Shop and said, I love me some Fiesta Red. I'm going to start eating it. start devouring it. And I do have, this was the guitar that I first had my Fishman Fluence Gristle Tone pickups on, and they remain on, and this guitar sounds magnifico. Yeah, I'm on that middle position, nice and squish. Here's bridge. Yeah, and then of course the Mr. Neck. Can you dig it? Neck pickup sound, or bridge pickup sounds good too, doesn't it? Again, this is a Wildwood 10. This was when I bought about, I want to say 8-9 years ago. And it is a glorious weapon. And of course, Wildwood has a bunch of these. These Wildwood 10s, so Wildwood, back in the day when they first started ordering guitars from the custom shop, they said, can we order guitars like vintage type guitars with a flatter radius and taller frets? And the Fender people said, you're crazy. And they said, no, we're not. Let us do it. And they said, well, if you buy enough of them, you can do it. And they said, we will do it. And they said, you're mad. They said, no, we're not. I have no idea if this is the conversation that took place, but it sounds good. So Wildwood started selling vintage type reissues or relics from the Fender custom shop, but with some modern ergonomics. They call them Wildwood 10s. Quarter saw neck, 10-inch radius as far as the fingerboard is concerned, 6105 frets. They had to be a certain weight, and they got their special recipe for pickups that are made at Fender for them. This particular iteration has my Fishman pickups on it, but usually they come with special pickups that are wound. They used to be wound by Abigail, I believe, but now they're wound by Josefina, who was taught by Abigail Yabera, who was the big pickup winder going back to the days of Leo Fender, as a matter of fact. Anyway, so that's what you get when you get a Wildwood 10 guitar, and the weight is on. This weighs like nothing. And I like the 55 necks because it's a nice chunky U. It's not as big as the Nocaster U, although I like that neck as well. I was just talking about this with my buddy Ryan from Fishman earlier. I like all kinds of different necks. I like a skinny neck every now and then. It depends on the guitar. If I grab a guitar and I like the guitar and it happens to have a skinny neck, or if I grab the guitar and it has a big neck, I'm like, woo! Good. I like this big neck, or I like this small neck. I'm kind of I like guitars. Hey ho! That's why my Reverend signature model has a little chunkier neck than the regular Reverend necks, but then there's also a different iteration that has a really chunky neck that you can get at Wildwood on the Reverend Gristle Master, the ones that are in black. Although I think they had a couple of them in clockwork orange that also had the bigger neck profile. Anyway, so there you have the idea of the Wildwood 10. So this was something I got from Wildwood, as I said, probably about 8 or so years ago. Around the same time I got this guitar. Again, I'm reviewing because people ask me, do I have any guitars that I've procured from Wildwood over the years? And the answer is yes, and I'm going to show them today. This particular instrument, this is another Wildwood 10. This is a Wildwood 10 57 Strat relic. And there are people, I think they're mentioning the relic. They don't understand. Why would you want a guitar that's already beat up? And I will tell you this. Of course, if you bought a real 57 Strat, it would probably look like this. So, but these guitars, I've played thousands of guitars, actually. Not to blow my own diggity doggone horn, but other than people probably at Fender in the assembly line who's got to check the guitars at the end, I've probably had my hands on more Fender custom shop guitars than the average guitar Mameluke running around the universe. And the relics sound better to me. They sound more open, and more open by that I mean they're not as hard sounding. You can kind of play them, and they give a little bit. There's a little bit of a squish. I know these are terms. You're like, what are you talking about, squish? But they just seem to be more dynamically sensitive. I guess that's the term I'm looking for, and have a mellower attack. That's why I like the relics, and that's why I picked out these. That's not to say that I don't like NOS guitars. As I said, I like all kinds of different guitars. It depends on the individual weapon. But that being said, relics have a tendency to sound damn good to me. Now, this guitar is a 57 Wildwood 10, quarter sawn maple neck. It's got the 6105 fret. So again, it's a taller fret. It's not back in the day. Remember in the early 90s, like when I ordered my custom shop, I want jumbo frets, because that was the thing at the time. If you owned a vintage Fender guitar, you swapped out the frets for jumbo frets so that you could bend the strings a little bit better, even though it had the old school radius on it. That was the methodology anyway. But over time, people realized you actually want a taller fret. You don't necessarily want a wider fret, because the wider fret means there's more contact with the string, and that could lead to intonation kerfuffles. Kerfuffles, of course, being a technical term. So now just a taller fret is what's appreciated. So medium jumbo fret, 6105. That's what Wildwood goes with. So 10-inch radius from stem to stern. What? On the neck. And it is quarter sawn. It's got to be a certain weight. This, of course, is an ash body on this. This is 57. And this one would have come with special design pickups from the Fender Custom Shop. But again, this has my Fishman Fluence. Actually, these are the single width Strat pickups that they came out. I helped voice them back in the day. And so this is a guitar that we popped them on so I could travel around the world saying, you got to check out these pickups, bro. And so they sound... Sounds glorious. To me, ladies and gentlemen, one of my favorite Strat tones of all times, I put an S on it, is Clapton's tone that he used on the Howlin' Wolf London sessions. That little jam I just did right there, that Rockin' Daddy. Just a glorious little tone. And also the Wang Dang Doodle. Yeah, so there you have it. Richard Thompson. You know, I need to listen to some Richard Thompson again. It has been a long time. I was always a big fan of his songwriting and playing and singing. And I just haven't. You know what? Now that I have my delicious subscription to the iTunes, I finally succumbed so that I could have access to the entire library at my beck and call. I'm going to be engaging in a deep dive on Richard Thompson. Always tasty and delicious. Rockin' Daddy, yeah. But that's one of my favorite Strat tones, as is Derek and the Dominoes and the first Clapton record. But that tone he had on those Howlin' Wolf sessions was glorious. Just sounded wicked. Chester Burnett, that's right. Always the right time. Carolina Hardcore Ecstasy. That's a good song. I don't know if I know that. I can't think of it now. Do 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 do. Da 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 da. I had a Roger Daltrey cape on. Yeah, that's it. Little Zappa there. Sorry, folks. We're trying to pull that one right out of our own buttocks. Sun ain't nearly on the rise, and we still got the morning stars above. always liked that tone, too. That was a good one. It's cool, right? And again, this is a Wildwood 10, Wildwood Guitars, Louisville, Colorado. They do these special runs of guitars from Fender Custom Shop called Wildwood 10, and they are, I'm going to say they're weaponized iterations of whatever guitar they are. So this is a 57. You just saw me play this rascal, the 55 Telly, and these are guitars that I have procured from Wildwood for my own self because people ask, you ever play a guitar out there that you just said I had to have? And the answer is affirmative. So I'm showing them today. There are a couple that I don't have anymore. There are 3. There was I think the first guitar I bought from Wildwood was, they do these, Wildwood does a version of Fender guitars called the Thin Skins. So those are a regular Fender USA version, but they have a nitro finish on them, thin nitro finish, and they also have Fender Custom Shop pickups on them. So I got and then flatter radiuses, 9.5-inch radius. I got a 68 thin line Telly, had no caster pickups in it. I used that guitar a bunch, actually. I don't know why I sold it, but I did. I sold a bunch of guitars to get my 53 Telly, which I'll be showing in a minute because I got that at Wildwood as well. So anyways, these are some Wildwood 10 guitars, and these are relics. They also come in NOS and Journeyman relic and not heavy relic, but just a little relic. And there you have it. They also, Wildwood also does a thing now called Relic Ready, which I think is a fantastic idea. Which is, they have a very thin coat of nitro on them, so they're gonna get damaged, shall we say, sooner, which is great because then you can relic it yourself. So it looks clean, but it's conducive to damage, and again, you get the advantage of the fact you get that thin coat of nitro, so the wood's gonna breathe a little bit more in terms of the tone. Those are very cool guitars as well. So you can get a Wildwood 10 with a relic ready finish, which makes you the abuser. You can be the feral animal that will be unleashed in the privacy of your own home, savaging it with your mandible and turning it into a relic of your own creation. Can you dig it? Anytime you can say feral and mandible in a guitar description, I think it's a win-win. Can you dig it? Will you dig it? Well, all right. All right, I'm going to switch now. I'm switching now to some other guitars. Switching now. I'm going to switch to this beast right here. Now, this is actually the third Les Paul that I procured from our friends at Wildwood. The first one I bought was a Wildwood Spec. Now, again, Wildwood does the same thing with the other manufacturers as they did with Fender, where they said, hey, can we make tweaked versions of your guitars? And yes. So in the Gibson realm, they're called Wildwood Spec. So the Wildwood Spec Les Pauls are the shizzle. So the first guitar I purchased from Wildwood as a Gibson was a Wildwood Spec 59 Les Paul in the gloss format from the Gibson Custom Shop. Had a beautiful top on it. And I played the bejesus out of that guitar. And then I got a Gibson Custom Shop Collector's Choice number 15 Greg Martin 58 Les Paul. And that one was aged to look like his old Hank the Plank. I was just talking to Greg Martin the other day for our podcast. By the way, if you haven't listened to the Wildwood and Fishman sponsored podcast that I do, that is available wherever casts are pod or pods are cast, it's called Chewing the Gristle. And the latest one just dropped on Thursday, season 2, starting off with Joe Bonamassa, a nice conversation with Joseph. But there's a whole bunch of delicious conversations, one of which I just did, as I said, I did Brent Mason last week. We had a nice talk. And then Greg Martin. I got Doyle Dykes tomorrow. That's going to be fun. Anyway, I digress. So this particular guitar is a 57 Gibson Custom Shop Wildwood Spec 57. And it's in Sweet Cherry. And I have Fishman Fluenced classic humbuckers in this open core. People see this guitar if I post some videos online and they go, Sometimes people are weird. Aren't we all? We all have our baggage. I'm not judging. So, nice classic. Like it's bad to have a Les Paul classic. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I don't have a 1959 real deal to play for you. Hopefully my notes will still sound adequate for you, Mr. Name Caller. But this one, because it has the open cores on it, people think that because the classics have that more often than not. But this is a 57. As you can see, it's taken a little damage over the years with my road case. It's got a little road rash. I've got this couple different road cases, and they go in there just fine. You could secure 3 guitars in this flight case, but the problem is that is it ATA? Is that it's been so long since I've traveled. I don't even know who the culprits are anymore. But the people that check your stuff to make sure there's nothing incriminating in there, they always go in there and they take the guitars out and put them. They don't put them in right. So then they start banging around in there, and that's what this came from, a little road rash. So I did my, I had a little airline relicking going on. But as you can see, nice back on this rascal. And there is a little flame on this bad boy. There's a little, I don't know if you can see it. Actually, it's looking distinctly not flame. Oh, there you go. That's, you can kind of see it there. There's a little bit of flameage on that top. But this finish is called Sweet Cherry. And it sounds good. TSA, thank you. Dickie Betzlick. guitar sounds magnifico. So this one's also very light. This was one that the Wildwood did a bunch of guitars called Wildwood Spec Featherweight Les Pauls. This thing weighs a little over 7 pounds, and it's not weight relieved. It's just light wood. It's fantastic. So a glorious guitar. And I probably procured this one from Wildwood, I want to say, around 9 years ago, maybe. It has served me well. A lot of miles on this bad boy. I've taken this thing all over the damn place. And it has survived. It has survived the great rock wrath. Rock wrath. How would you compare this, the CC Greg Martin to the Wildwood Spec Les Paul? Well, I know that there are construction things that are done, but a lot of it's the pickups. But you know, the collector's choice ones were pretty spot on. But the pickups are going to be different. There's a special pickup that is made by Gibson for Wildwood that is phantasmagorical. Can you dig it? Can you dig it? All right. So we've heard the Mighty Lester. Asking if I have any fun traveling with guitars on planes stories. You know, not too many. Luckily, I've never had any horrible damage. There was a chunk taken out of this one on the headstock, but I've had it repaired. There was something taken off, a chunk of wood taken off this one, but I had someone do it. Now you can't even tell. But you know, going to Europe, as many years as I've been going over there to play, it's always been a quandary of, do you carry it on or do you put it under the plane? And, you know, when you're doing the tours that we're doing, where it's not like we're making vast sums of currency, it's important to narrow down the amount of bags and the amount of weight of baggage when you're going over there. So there's times where I usually opt for carrying on. And then there was a time where I started to bring the road case again with the 3 guitars underneath the plane. Usually I would take 2, and then I'd put a gig bag in between the 2 guitars so that when I finally got to my destination, I could put one in a gig bag and take it up to my hotel room so I wouldn't have to haul around that damn case everywhere. But the problem is that if you do any traveling within Europe and you have to fly to a destination and use, you know, backline or wherever you're at, but you carry your guitars with you, then you got to worry about they nickel and dime you for the weight of your bags, the size of your bags, the whole 9 yards. So it's always a quandary of what to do, folks. I have a tendency to mix it up. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll bring my triple road case, put 2 guitars in it, put the gig bag in between, and then if I have to do any inner Europe travel, I'll just take the 1 guitar and risk it and carry that on, and then go do something, and then fly back to where my other gear is, and away we go. Yeah, I got to get a private jet. Maybe the mothership, the old Zeppelin craft, the Zeppelin plane they used to take. That's the next one for the KMT tour. I'm all for it. A little fireplace in there. Read The Lord of the Rings by the fireplace. Speak of battles old and glorious. What? Anyway. Ever take any Smashable guitars with you? No, I have not. That I haven't. Greg is road worn. That is a fact. All right. Let's see what else we got here. Let's get through some other guitars. So again, this was another guitar I got from our friends at Wildwood. It is a Wildwood Spec Featherweight 57 from the Gibson Custom Shop. And I know that there is a buffet of glorious Wildwood Spec Les Pauls on the Wildwood website even as we speak, because they are a source of ceaseless temptation. I don't know what it is about Les Pauls. I love them so. Let's see what we got. Now, the next guitar I got out there was this one. And this is, I got this in 2013. It's a 50th anniversary, 63 ES335. And this one also has the Fishman Fluence pickups in it because you like the new drapes. Well, thank you very much. Yeah, so this guitar was from Gibson, Memphis. And as I said, it's a 2013 50th anniversary ES335 63. And I did put the Fishman Fluence pickups in it because as I was going between the Strat that I had the Fluence on, that Telly, or the Les Paul, they have this, majestic tone that I can go between any of them and still have this nice bright, the right tone. But when I would switch to the pickups in this guitar, it was so muddy in comparison that I just couldn't deal with it. So I had to send the guitar out to Fishman, and they fished, no pun intended, but I just said it, the pickup stuff through the F holes, and there is the underneath the pickguard here, there is the input jack for the mini USB, so I could charge the pickups. But man, this guitar sounds magnifico. Sounds good. This is a really good guitar. I love this guitar, doggone it. Again, today we're just kind of messing around with guitars that I've purchased from Wildwood because people asked, "If you got any guitars from Wildwood, you play all these guitars? Do any of them ever stay?" And this is definitely one that did. It is a 63 50th anniversary Gibson Memphis ES335. Oh, someone's asking about what strings I use. I use 10 through 46 on all my guitars. Right? Sounds so good. So there are Wildwood spec 335s now, which are glorious, and those have been tempting me quite a bit. Now there's a guitar that I had stolen when I was a youngster. I had a blonde 50s reissue dot neck that I bought in 1983, and it was stolen in the summer of '88. I did get a replacement for it, but it was not the same. And so I've always had a hankering to get another blonde ES335. And if I would get one, I would definitely get a Wildwood spec custom shop 335. Just letting you know. What makes a Wildwood spec a spec? Good question. Again, there are a couple, the long tenon thing. There's a bunch of things that Gibson does now to their Les Pauls in the custom shop that weren't done, but they were always done on the Wildwood spec. So a lot of the different things that ended up being on the true historics when they started to make those. But the Wildwood spec ones definitely have their pickups. They have custom tops that they make, and they have to be a certain weight. And so they are definitely, and then there's the plastic has to, all the right plastic is on them in terms of being period correct. There's a bunch of stuff that they had done over the years that Gibson was not doing with their regular reissues. So the Wildwood spec ones have always been extra special, in my opinion, and in many people's opinion, because they can't keep them. They're in and out the door. Now they do Tom Murphy aged and painted Wildwood spec Les Pauls, and those are ridiculous. But they always have had these special pickups on board that you can only get. They call them the Wildwood spec custom buckers, I believe is what they're called. Greg, your GK hat should be available online somewhere. That's an excellent idea. If only you could go to gregkoch.com and get the variety of different flavors that I wear. Yes, they are available there. My website. People always, do you teach Skype lessons? Yes, I do. All the stuff, all my instructional material, Skype lessons, hats, pickups, Gristle King pedals, all available at gregkoch.com, a place of honor and diplomacy. But for the guitars, you got to go to wildwoodguitars.com in order to get it all up. Good question. What about a Wildwood SG? They should send you some. I would like to play one of those. I have played them while I'm out there, but I haven't had one here in the in the orange room yet, but at some point, I'm sure one will fall prey to trade. But, okay, so this is another guitar I got out there. I've had this one since 2013. It's been a while now, right? Time keeps on slipping, slipping, slipping. Yeah, so 63, 50th anniversary, Gibson ES335. Let's jump ahead to this guitar, which I bought out there. I ended up getting rid of a few different Wildwood guitars to get this guitar, which I found at Wildwood. A gentleman whose brother had passed away and had a big guitar collection. I got a hold of the folks from Wildwood and said, hey, would you mind selling this stuff? The widow doesn't know what to do with the guitars and yada, yada, yada. And they said, no problem. So this guitar came in and I saw it and I was like, oh, my Lord. Oh, my Lord. Notice the low output, but that neck pickup just sounds so good. So this guitar is a 53. It's a spray over, so it wasn't refinished, but it was sprayed over, as they say. There's a little hole. No, that's not it. Underneath the pickguard here, you see that? The screw's not in there, so there's a little hole there. So it's definitely a player's guitar. It's not like totally. It's been refretted, but it's a glorious guitar, and it weighs like nothing. This pickup is very microphonic, but as you heard, it sounds so good. So I ended up getting rid of 3 guitars on my way to getting this one. I got rid of that 68 thin line Telecaster that I got at Wildwood. I got rid of my Wildwood spec 59 Les Paul and also my Greg Martin, only because I thought I can't be a pig. So I got rid of those and then some more cash and so on and so forth to get this rascal. So this is a 53, serial number 2136. And there was some mumbo jumbo about the neck's a 52 and the body's a 53. I don't really care. I don't really care how that happened, but this is what's happening. Can you dig it? So this is my 53. I bought this. I'm going to want to say 5 years ago. 5 years ago, I made it my own. So pretty cool. It's really the only vintage guitar that I have, if we're honest. But if you're going to have one, it's a good one to have. Am I right? So I got this at Wildwood. Now, what else? What else did I get? I did buy one of my own Reverend guitars. Ooh, did you hear that? Some relicking going on here in the Orange Room. This guitar is a Reverend put out my signature model guitar in, I think it was 3 years ago. It was originally available in Blucifer, which was like a Sonic Blue. transparent sonic blue, a wow red, really kind of a fiesta red, and a pow yellow, really kind of a powder yellow. And then Wildwood wanted to do some exclusive colors, and they asked me, "What do you think?" And I thought, let's do an orange. And it's a transparent. So this is Koch orange. We decided as the color, and Wildwood got a bunch in, and I actually bought one from there. So I bought a roasted maple version. They also do a Pow Pharaoh version. Pow! Pow! I think it's Pow Pharaoh, but I say Pow! Because it just sounds more savage, I guess. So this guitar is a glorious weapon. Got this one. I've toured a bunch with this guitar. Done. Right? It matches the beanie. Am I right? Or am I right? So transparent orange, or as we call it, Koch orange. So those are available at Wildwood. And then Wildwood decided to do a black version. And then we thought, well, let's do one with a different neck profile. So on an old custom shop Strat of mine that I ordered back in the day, it's got a big old, I think it's November of '56, big fat V neck on it. So I sent that neck away, and they duplicated it. So that neck is available on a black iteration at Wildwood Guitars. So it's a black Reverend Gristlemaster custom fat neck profile, I believe is what they called it. And then what they did, those crazy kids, is they did some orange versions with the fatter neck, and then some black versions with the conventional neck profile on it. So you can get those also at Wildwood. As well as the new three-tone Sunburst version, which is killer. So there's that. So these are Reverend Gristlmasters, my signature guitar with Reverend. And as I said, I bought this guitar at Wildwood my own self. So there you go. So now what else? Well, I got some recent acquisitions. Actually a few months ago, I fell under the spell of this little bad boy, and I always wanted a black Les Paul Custom, but I kind of like the yellowed kind of older look, and I like the 3 pickup versions, but they're never wired right, and they usually have dinky frets. So this is actually the Joe Bonamassa signature 50s Les Paul Custom. It's got a fat old neck on it. It's even bigger than my 58 neck, which I'm going to show you in a minute. And it's got the 3 pickups. But I just fell in love with the damn thing, and it was priced to go, if I'm not mistaken. But nice little guitar. Hang on. Where's my damn tuner? But these sold for, I think they're all out now, but the regular Epiphone Les Pauls that they make are fantastic, and they sell for like $7.99. This was $7.99. And what's interesting about these old guitars is the middle pickup doesn't get in my way. People ask me if the middle pickup gets in my way. It doesn't. And a lot of times with these guitars, they were wired incorrectly, but the correct wiring is what this has, which is in the up position, it's the neck pickup by itself. In the bottom position, it's the bridge pickup all by itself. And in the middle position, it's these 2 pickups. It's the middle and bridge. So you get a little bit of a quack. good guitar. So, as I mentioned, I got this one. They didn't last long. It was a special run, I think, that they did with Joe Bonamassa. And one came here for me to shoot a video, and I said, oh, this will be staying here. Well, all right. So, pretty cool. So, there are some other Epiphones that are a really good buy that you can also find on the Wildwood Guitars website. And maybe you, my friend, will fall prey. And my latest acquisition is this guitar right here. I have been, oh Lord, look at it. It's so sweet. I've been wanting to, since I got rid of the Greg Martin Les Paul and the Wildwood Spec 59 that I had, that was a bursty thing. I've been wanting to get another one, and I've been browsing the Wildwood site, and it's hard because, you know, Les Pauls are not inexpensive. And so anyway, I was going back and forth, and then finally one day I found a 58, and I kind of like the 58s. You can save a little money on a 58, if we're honest, and they have a bigger neck usually. And I saw one that I liked. It was pretty lightweight in terms of Les Pauls. It was like 8.5. Had the big neck, and I liked the darker back. It just is stunning, and you know that's pretty much, you know, especially when you're looking down at the neck this way. It's a nice visual. And I liked, it was more of a red, but not tomato soupy red. And had a little bit of orange in it. And a little bit of flame, but not a ton. It's just tasty done. Tastefully flamey. So I saw this beast. It's a Wildwood Spec 58 Les Paul. So it's got those Wildwood Spec proprietary pickups and whatnot. And I got it to the house here, and I was going to do a video on it. And I started messing around with it. And the invoice was in the... Just in case I was interested, because I told him, I go, Steve, you mind sending it to me? And then, you know, I'll do a video on it and all that kind of stuff, and then I might buy it. He said, no problem. It's just it compresses like a... Touchy today. It's like, how dare you bring other guitars out when I'm around? Sorry, Mr. Wildwood Spec. Right? It sounds good. It's a good old Lester. This one weighs about, it was like 8 pounds, 41 ounces. So pretty good. And it just is a gorgeous specimen. So I fell victim. I fell victim to it. So I think those are all the guitars that I have purchased from Wildwood, excluding the ones that I got rid of to get that 53 Telly. And again, those were a 68 thin line, thin skin Fender USA guitar that was exclusive to Wildwood, which I think they're making more of at some point. There's some great thin skins that they just came up with that got into Wildwood. Again, they're American made, but they're made for Wildwood. So they're a thin skin with roasted maple necks. And then they have twisted telly pickups, I believe. 9.5-inch radius, 6105 frets. So those are cool. Are you my dad? Joseph, I don't think so. Joseph, I am not your father. Okay? Seek elsewhere. Seek elsewhere. That's not a thing. Challenge, can you not pentatonic solo? I think you know the answer to that. And if you don't, you need a hug. Gristlewurst. I like that kind of talk. I am not your song. Luke. Come on, Dylan needs a little brother. He's got a little brother. I have 4 kids, for pity's sake. Dylan's the oldest. Man Cub is the youngest, Johnny. Johnny boy! Something from Tim Reynolds, please. You know, I did a gig with Tim Reynolds once. We did one of the Muriel Anderson All-Star Guitar Night things we did in Madison, Wisconsin. And he was on the bill. What a cool cat. I dug him. And Jack Grassel was on the bill. Of course, Muriel. And then Stanley Jordan was on that bill as well. That was a cool night. There's actually a video online where I did a version of Spank It with my B Bender Telly, and that one was posted by the True Fire folks, and it's got a gajillion views on that rascal. Kind of a weird thing online. People post things and you get, and I'm grateful that anyone that cares one way or the other. Don't get me wrong, but that video got a lot of love over the years. Whatever, kind of fun. Questions out there about guitar stuff. We're reaching that point now. It's 4:07 already. Boy, time flies when you're talking about guitars, especially guitars that are mine. My guitars. Timeline on the baby Greg amp. That's a good question, Jeff. Unfortunately, there's some crazy stuff going on in Holland right now, so they're on lockdown. So their creation of amplifiers is been stymied somewhat. But I did talk to Greg. No, I'm Greg. Chris. Chris Fingerhoods from Koch amps, and he told me that the head versions of the Greg are going to be in stores in March. And I believe he said some of the other different Tolex versions of the Greg combo is going to be available as well. So there were black versions and red versions that were going to be available. I think we're looking at a little bit later in the year for the other iterations. Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Do. Where are you with the new Gibson Flying Vs? I dig them. They're nice and light. They sound good. They resonate great. I dig them. I've played a few on the videos at Wildwood. I've had a few different things that I've videoed in the last year, I believe. So there's a bunch of videos of guitars that are still, obviously I'm in a position where I don't do as many videos for them because usually I go out there 4 days a month and do between 20 and 25 guitars a day so that when there's a little red video icon next to a guitar on the Wildwood website, there's a video for it. And usually of that specific guitar. Sometimes they're overviews of that kind of guitar. But a lot of them are that for that specific instrument, there is a video for it. And I've done a bunch of videos of some Flying Vs in the recent past. Michael says, new Gibson or Collings? So I think that's a different ball of wax altogether. I mean, certainly Collings makes some great guitars. But it's a different deal. It depends on what you're into. But it's one of those things where if you're getting a guitar that is specifically a Les Paul or specifically a 335 without any major alterations, same thing with if you're buying a Tele or a Strat, there's something to be said about the legacy of the quality of being able to get some that's made, especially the custom shop stuff. If you want a 59 Les Paul, you get a Gibson custom shop. That doesn't mean that other people don't make great instruments. They do. But usually you want something that if you're going to get something else, then have it be tweaked a little bit different. Like for instance, my Reverend Grisselmaster, people are like, well, it's a Telecaster. It's not. It's got a little bigger body, has different ergonomics on it. It's got different pickups that are not available on a Fender guitar. So, so if you're looking for a 59 Les Paul or a ES335, I would say Gibson custom shop. But if you're looking for something that's tweaked by another boutique manufacturer, then of course they make great guitars too. But there's that. Okay, did that sound right? Well, that's what I meant. Do I want a Klon? Not really. I mean, I'm sure they're cool. I think I've played one once or twice and be like, yeah, that's cool, but I'm not going to spend a bunch of money on it. Altered 5 Blues Band, buddies of yours? Yes, as a matter of fact, Jeff Schradel, the guitar player, has been my main contact at the Hal Leonard Corporation since the beginning. So anytime I do a guitar book or a video, I always discuss it with Jeff. I've known Jeff for a long time. He's great, plays great guitar, very knowledgeable individual, and it's a fun band. They've done very, very well for themselves. And I applaud it. Diggity dog it. For $5,000, I'd rather have another guitar. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Guitars are not cheap, and the custom shop stuff is not inexpensive, but then again, they do hold their value pretty doggone well. So it is what it is. It's out of my realm. I play them, I enjoy them, and there's that. So get your sound guy to turn your mic up. Maybe I should just get up on the mic a little bit more. Maybe I'm backing away from it a little bit. Maybe I'm backing up from my mic and not speaking with the great aplomb that I usually do. See you next time, Gristle Gang. I like that kind of talk. Questions. Have you ever tried a Malacon guitar? A friend of mine, great friend of mine. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. No, I've never tried one of those guitars. How do you set your pickups? Usually, I don't really mess around with my pickups. If I get the guitar and it's set up the way I like it, we're done. Saw your video on a CS 336. Do you own one? No, Kevin, but it's interesting because every time I play a ES335, people think it's a 336 because I'm such a big son of a gun. They go, is that an ES3? I'm like, no, I'm just big. So I'm afraid if I bought one of those guitars, people would even think it's smaller, and then there would be some kind of trouble. There would be trouble afoot. I think it just spit. Did you see that? I wonder if the new camera caught that spit. It's so much more pristine. What are your views on the EJ Fender Thin Line? Well, that's interesting because they did send me one of the guitars. I liked it. I thought, all of those, I have to say, all of those EJ signature instruments are really, really nice. They're, because he's such a stickler for making sure that his stuff is, dialed into the nines. Those guitars are exemplary. Everyone I've played has been like, yeah, I could totally play this. Lefty Gristle. Gristle Masters. Yeah, not right now. And it's not that Reverend can't do it. It's just that the pickups have to, because they come with the everything wired into the control panel, and we haven't had lefty sets available from Fishman. But they're working on that. So hopefully at some time in the not too distant future, there will be lefty versions of the Gristle Masters. Can you get your tone on any other amps or just with your pedal to your satisfaction? Well, yeah, I've played a bunch of different amps over the years, and I can, if I'm in a situation where I'm flying someplace and I got to use an amp, I'll figure it out. But usually what I'll do is I'll bring my Gristle King pedal, and away I go. But now that I got my Gristle Master guitars with the pickups on them, a lot of times I'll just, if I'll show up in a store, my custom amp, obviously, I'm going to want. I'm hopefully going to have on the other end. So in Europe, I have some of those amps stashed over there. They'll make sure I have them. But there's times where if I'm doing say a Fishman clinic per se, and I'll show up at a store, I'll usually grab like a deluxe reverb and just crank it and plug straight into it and use the old school channel switching, which is my pinky on the volume control. Turn it down for the clean, turn it up for the lead. If I want a little bit more boost, I hit those Fluence pickups, and I get a little extra gristle. So, yes. Thank you, Pete. I appreciate that. Let's hear that Bonamassa Flaws in the Four. It sounds good. Sounds good. Favorite venue to play gigs? Really anywhere at this particular point in time will do. Although currently the Orange Room is my favorite and only venue. I've played a bunch of fun places over the years. In town we played Shank Hall. Although my favorite venue in town is the Pabst Theater. Anytime I can play the Pabst, I'm all for it. Unfortunately, usually we are opening up for somebody there, but I would like to just do a show there. Maybe after the power of COVID has subsided, work on some kind of a thing where I can do a show at the Pabst. It's a beautiful place, beautiful old Victorian-ish or 19th century theater, beautiful. What other questions do we have? You know what, folks? I think I got to roll. It is 4:17 in the afternoon. Thank you so much for tuning in. Appreciate it. Again, don't be afraid to go to the Wildwood website and support our friends out there in Louisville, Colorado, as they support me here in Wauwatosa, Wisconsin, which is greatly appreciated. Wildwoodguitars.com is the place to go. I shall return on Thursday. I know that there is another Wildwood 10 guitar in transit to me. I know that there are some Reverend guitars in transit to me that I shall also have some new iterations for 2021 that I will have to be able to play for you on the next broadcast situation. Are you a Clapton fan? Absolutely, especially Cream era Claptown. Robert says, if I had $1 million, I'd hire you guys for a private show, and we would gladly do it for you. We would gladly do it. All right, folks, thanks so much. Appreciate it. Have a pleasant remainder of your day. I believe there's some more snow plowing in my future. Looks like the snow has subsided. Did you guys go out there and do it already? You did some of it. That doesn't sound like a completed project to Drade. That doesn't sound like a completed project. Come on, you fellas, what the heck's going down? That's kind of a call to action from Drade to his sons. Anyways, folks, we'll see you cats in the flippity flop. Thank you so much for tuning in. Always appreciate it. We'll see you later.